Here we have the Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5. Now, in a world where a carton of eggs is reaching $10, you struggle to find a good deal on something. And that goes for electronics as well. But the Idea Flex 5 is a reasonably priced machine, coming in roughly at about $629, and it offers a lot of bang for your buck, at least on paper. So what we want to do is find out if this Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5 is any good, and if you should buy one yourself. And before we get started, I would like to ask anybody that if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help this channel a lot and helps us continue to deliver transparent and bias-free content. Let's get some specs out of the way really quick. This one comes with the AMD 5500U processor. It comes with 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and that is not user upgradable. And it also comes with a 512 gigabyte NVMe solid state drive, which is user upgradable. Pair that with AMD Radeon graphics, and all in all, you've got a very high performing computer for under $700. It's hard to ask for a whole lot more. But let's talk about the LCD screen for a little bit. It has a 14-inch LCD screen. It is full high definition touch. It is very colorful. It is glossy. It has about 300 nits of brightness, which means that you can use it like on a college campus, in a library, inside next to an open window, but you're probably gonna struggle a little bit with direct sunlight right onto it. Also, because it is so super glossy, the viewing angles on it, even though it is IPS, they're thwarted slightly. You could certainly gather a crowd around it to watch a YouTube video or maybe even a movie, possibly. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But that said though, the glare on the screen is just maybe like just like a little bit too, it's like there's a little bit of glare to be expected. But it's a really, really nice panel. We go ahead and rate it a 4.5 a 4 out of 5. Now, by the way, everybody, we have actually changed our rating system. We used to do things out of 10. Now we're doing them out of 5. We're kind of test running a little bit of a new rating system here. Anyway, moving right along. Performance on this thing is stellar. We rated about a 4 out of 5. Now, if we switch over here, we went ahead and did some benchmarks. OpenCL gets a 13,020. And then on the single core and multi-core, you have a 1099 and 5990 respectively. And as usual on this channel, those that want to know what that information means already know what it means, so we will not describe what it means. Suffice to say that practically speaking, this laptop is exquisitely fast. If you are doing like multiple Firefox tabs and Chrome, Windows, and email, and Word, and PowerPoint, and Excel, and all that good stuff, this thing will handle that with absolutely no problem at all. Gaming on this thing is going to be a little bit unusual. It's not a gaming computer, but you could certainly play Minecraft and Roblox and some other games on lower settings. It shouldn't struggle with that at all. But as far as like 4K raw video editing, you're probably going to want to stay away from that. Serviceability on the Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5 is fantastic. You have a separate sister board here for the power button and then the 2 USB ports. That's nice in case one of those goes out. You only have to replace this one board. You do have an NVMe slot right here. That is user replaceable with something bigger if you want. About really the only thing that takes a bit of a hit is the RAM. This one does come with 16 gigabytes, but it is not upgradable. Lenovo doesn't really give that option on a lot of their computers for some reason, but anyway, it's other than that, screen, battery, all that stuff is good to work with. But while we're on the subject of 4K raw video editing, let's go ahead and talk about the input and output on this thing. Although before I do that, we're gonna go ahead and switch over back to the nice little geometric shapes. Now, input and output on this thing is a 5 out of 5. It is absolutely fantastic, again, especially for the price that you're buying this thing for. On here, you got 2 USB super speed ports, type A. One of them is always on, meaning that like if you had a cell phone or something that you wanted to charge while this thing is sleeping, it can do that with no problem. You have a full-size SD card reader right here. That's just the little power button. And then on this side, you have a TRRS headphone jack. Basically, microphones and headphones can plug into there. You have a USB-C 3.2 Gen 1 port, I think it is. It supports both power and data transfer on it as well. Basically, you can charge the laptop on here, and then you can also get 10 gigabytes per second data rates, which is pretty nice. You've got HDMI on here. And by the way, another little quick thing about the USB-C port, you cannot put a display on it. HDMI port for those that want to attach a monitor. And then of course, where you plug it in, because it doesn't run on solar energy. But where it lacks in solar charging capabilities, it has absolutely phenomenal input and output, especially for the price. Basically, if you are a photographer doing something on site, an audio production person, basically somebody that has like a switchboard, lots of microphones, this kind of thing, you are really not going to want for a whole lot more. This thing will do Photoshop with no problem. It will do audio processing with no problem. You have, again, all those nice ports for things that you just want to attach to it and modularity and all that good stuff. So yeah, ports on this thing, absolutely outstanding. We really, really appreciate Lenovo's efforts in the input and output. Now let's talk about the keyboard on this computer. Keyboard is a little bit of a mixed bag. It is backlight, which I really like. The keys are very responsive and very tactile. However, the keys on it are unusually wide. Now, if you just look at them, they look like normal laptop keys, but if you were to actually take some calipers and measure them out, they are slightly wider than most other keyboard keys are. And as a result, you will find yourself accidentally hitting the question mark button, which is also wider than the comma and the period button by like just a hair. And you'll also find yourself accidentally hitting the enter button as well. It is not a deal breaker, but if you're somebody that is like a super fast typist and you're used to other keyboards, you will maybe find the transition to this keyboard to be a little bit awkward. That said, again, it is backlit, it does not have a full-size numpad, and it does just feel kind of good and firm to type on. So we're gonna rate the keyboard 3 out of 5. It's not great, and it's something that you could probably get used to, but it's just something worth noting that Lenovo just did some weird stuff with the spacing on the keys and made it kind of weird. Unless you're like Shin Lim and you just have like little magic fingers, you're just gonna have to kind of get used to it. It's just weird. Trackpad on this thing though does get a 4 out of 5. It is actually pretty like graciously big, and multi-gesture, recognizes left and right clicks very well. It doesn't ghost too bad, maybe just slightly. And for that matter, the trackpad also is like a little firmer than I wish. Lenovo trackpads tend to actually have a little bit of a lighter mechanical click than the Dell keyboards, or Dell trackpads. This one kind of feels more like a Dell trackpad. But that said, it is a good trackpad, and those using it will have no problems whatsoever. And then the last coverage on the sort of usability on this machine, the touch screen does have some active pen support in there too, so those that want to use this thing as a notebook or a note-taking machine will have no problem. Basically, this thing just flips. It converts like this, and then it turns into like a little tablet that you could take some notes on if you were a student. All right, so I wanted to talk about the pen support really quick. It is worth mentioning that this computer is one of the few computers, and for that matter, one of the few Lenovo's that actually comes with a pen. It comes with a little holster that you can clip to the computer, and then it comes with an active Lenovo pen as well. That is kind of a nice touch on Lenovo's part. But basically, you can convert this thing into a tablet here. Then obviously you can write on it. So just put hello. It is very responsive. I mean, again, latency is really not bad, but I just don't think, reasonably speaking, you're gonna have anybody wanting to take notes with it. The pen tip on it is just, it's a little too rubberized to make writing all that good. So, I mean, you know, you're doing awesome. I mean, I don't know, it just doesn't look all that good. It's a little clunky. You could obviously draw with this thing, but you know, ultimately I think people will be using this as maybe like an artistic pen and or tablet, but probably not really much for note taking. That said, I've always kind of found that to be slightly gimmicky on some laptops. And while it does have pen support and it is also accurate with like lower latency, the best note-taking experience is probably going to be done on something like an iPad or a Remarkable. That's going to be like the most true to like pen and paper that you can get. Now let's talk about the speakers on this computer. They are advertised to be Dolby audio, and they are an absolute disaster. We rate the speakers on here a 1 out of 5. They are tinny, they have no character, they don't get particularly loud, and as I said earlier, you can use the screen to like gather around with friends and watch a movie, except that the speakers on this thing are so damn awful that nobody around the laptop would be able to hear it. They're not the worst speakers I've heard in a laptop, but they are almost the worst speakers that I have heard in a laptop. Lenovo should be ashamed of themselves. Now that said, you do have the audio jack on the side of it, so of course you can pop in a set of external speakers or headphones and it won't be an issue whatsoever. But that said, it's almost like they went out of their way to put the junkiest parts bin speakers in there and then slaps a Dolby badge on there. Why do manufacturers insist on advertising good speakers on them when they just put crap in there? So anyway, 1 out of 5. Now let's talk about the features of this computer, which are shockingly fantastic. We give it a 5 out of 5. It has wireless AX or 6 in it. It has Bluetooth. It has a very respectable webcam in it. In fact, here's what that footage looks like now. This is a test of the webcam on the Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5. This is actually one of the better webcams we have tested in a while, so color us impressed. It has a little privacy shutter on the webcam as well, so if you're one that wants to like walk around naked in front of their laptop but they don't want an OnlyFans page, then well, then here you go, you've got some privacy built in. It also has a fingerprint reader. It does not have a Windows Hello compatible camera, but it does have USB-C charging. It also has rapid charging, basically meaning it can charge up pretty fast. And then of course, as I mentioned earlier, it does have the 360-degree turn into a notebook/tablet feature in there too. So for the price at 630 bucks, I mean, I just really don't know what more you'd want in there. There are much more expensive laptops with less, so that's why we always try to take into consideration the price bracket that the computer is sitting in when we give it a rating. So yeah, again, for the price, it absolutely earned its 5 out of 5. And for our final category, the mobility category, it gets a 4 out of 5. I keep wanting to say 4.5 out of 5. A 4 out of 5. Should we do halves? Well, maybe reach out in the comments section and find that out. Anyway, mobility on this thing. It's kind of a heavy boy. It's a big boy. It's about 3.3 pounds, so it's not light, but the materials are all incredibly well put together. It just feels firm and like it can take a beating. The plastics are really, really great quality. The hinges are nice and smooth. By all accounts, I think that this thing could go from like laptop to desk, or laptop, from desk to backpack to airplane tray table to classroom back to your desk, and like all while getting rattled around with keys and tablets and charging cords and things. And this thing would hold up really, really well. We're very impressed with the quality of the materials that Lenovo decided to use with this thing. Again, just some really, really great plastics. And you know, again, there are more expensive laptops that are like cheaper built, so they did a great job there. Battery life on it is going to be between about 8.5 to 9 hours practically speaking, and again, for those that are traveling or running through airports or going to classrooms, that is effectively all day battery life. And you might get a little bit more if you're like only doing like Word and stuff like that, but you'll get a little bit less if you're doing something like internet browsing. So yeah, battery life on it is great, materials on it are great. It's a little bit hefty, so I mean, and in terms of like thickness and stuff, I mean, it's kind of thick, but like it's not like, it had too few many Christmas cookies, but it's still lightweight and compact enough where you can just chuck it into a briefcase, and maybe your Mystery Ranch briefcase or Tokyo Bellroy, and then you'll be right as rain. So again, all in all, earns its 4.5 out of 5. Now, who is this laptop for? We really feel that this laptop is for like business people that like to travel a lot. It is also for people that just need a solid productivity powerhouse and they don't really mind the slightly smaller screen. After all, 14-inch screens are my favorite form factor. But that said, if you don't need the 15 or the 16-inch screens and you just need something kind of nice and compact and lightweight to sit on your desk and just do its thing, this is absolutely perfect for it. Frankly, even nonprofits could do pretty well with this laptop. And again, at 630 bucks, you really get like, I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck. And because of the serviceability on it, where you could replace something like the screen or the NVMe drive or something like that if it breaks, I mean, this is going to be like a laptop that you can have around for 5 to 6 years easily. Lenovo's warranty and customer service is really not too bad. It's maybe not quite as good as Dell's, but it is definitely better than Hewlett-Packard's and probably even like Acer and Asus, although Acer's is pretty solid. But nevertheless, Lenovo's customer support is pretty, pretty standard across the board, so that's good too. I think that if you're a photographer and you like to take photos and then load those pictures onto your laptop and kind of edit on site, or just kind of have the laptop there is sort of like a backup hard drive, this thing's gonna be perfect for that. I think this is gonna be perfect for audio editors. Don't really think it's gonna be that great for video editors. You could maybe do some 1080p compressed stuff, but I might struggle a little bit. Not really for gamers either, although it can do some light gaming. But all in, this is just a computer for like students and like business people. This is like the new everyday working man's ThinkPad. Anyway, we were very, very impressed with this Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5. It gets a total score of 3.75 out of 5. Now that may seem like a bad score, but that's like a B minus. I mean, that's like a very respectable score. If they just maybe put in slightly better speakers, or maybe just kind of made their keyboards slightly less weird, then I don't know, it'd be almost perfect. Actually, there is one little fun thing that I noticed. On the Lenovo keyboard, it says caps LK. Even though you have this honking big button, they got cheap and didn't want to put like the O and the C for caps lock. Now, I checked all the other Lenovo products that we have in the office, and sure enough, they all say caps LK, whereas all of the HPs and Dells and Acers here all say caps lock. It's just kind of a weird Lenovo-ism, apparently. I never noticed it before in the as long as I've been reviewing these things. But anyway, it's just kind of a fun thing to point out. Anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. Let us know what you think about the Lenovo Ideapad Flex 5. Reach out to us in the comments section if you have any questions or comments. Please like and subscribe. Please tell your friends about this channel, and we will be back with another video really soon.